start calling out your coupling devices. So coupling devices, the green one, that is the electric line. I have to make sure that it's securely mounted on the front and the back over here. Then I got to start checking the condition of that electric line. There's no cut wires, spliced wires, burnt wires, taped up wires, any damage to this insulation of these wires or the wires themselves. This end over here, don't worry about this connector right here. This is the important one over here. Tell them, look, there's a truck electric connector right here, and I also have the trailer electric connector right here. So there's two connectors, they plug into each other. On the truck side, gotta make sure that it's securely mounted, it's not cracked or broken, that if when I take it off I look inside that there is no debris, rust or corrosion in the inside of that connector. On the trailer side, well, that one has the pins and the prongs on the inside that slide into the other connector. But I have to make sure those ain't twisted or bent or missing. And also clean up rust or corrosion. And also make sure it's securely mounted, nothing is cracked or bent. So those are the three parts to the electric side. Over here, I got the air hoses. This blue one is the service air hose. The red one is the emergency air hose. I'm going to check the exact same thing on both, which is first to make sure that they're securely mounted on both ends with all the fittings. And then I'll move on to the condition, looking for abrasions, bulges, cracks, cuts, any holes or any damage to these hoses. And also listen that I don't hear any air leaking from them when they are running air. On this end, these are the glad hands, and there is 4 glad hands here. I have 2 for the truck, which is this one and this one, and the 2 for the trailer, which are this one and this one. Make sure you point them out, guys, right there, really good. But tell them, I'm going to check the exact same thing on all 4 glad hands to make sure that they're secured with every single nut and bolt. Check that the condition, nothing is cracked or broken, bent anywhere. But most important that I also check the seals that are inside here and here where they join each other. That those rubber seals ain't ripped or torn, or have any air leaking from them. Another thing I can check right here is to make sure that nothing is rubbing here on these hoses or the electric line or getting hung up on anything. And by the way, tell them, look, as you can see, this truck does not have a catwalk here for me to inspect. Make sure you tell them that about the catwalk. It mentions it with the next to steps. So either when you're talking about steps, you can say, hey, look, if you look over here, there's no catwalk, or you can just mention it when you're doing this section right here. Once you're done with that, continue with the coupling devices parts, which is down here. This metal plate that you see right here on the bottom of the trailer, you can see where it kind of starts right there, it stops right there. It starts right here on the front, and if you just follow it, you can see where it stops about right there somewhere. It's just a metal plate welded to the bottom of the trailer, and that is the apron. Just tell them, look, this apron is welded to the bottom of the trailer, so I'll inspect all the welds if they're not cracked or broken. I'll make sure that the apron isn't twisted or bent or cracked anywhere, but most important, I will make sure that it is full of grease, because that grease helps it slide on and off and twist and turn without any friction between the truck and the trailer. Right below it, this is the fifth wheel skid plate. You look right here on the side, those are the pins and the nuts and the bolts that are securing the fifth wheel in place. Make sure those ain't missing or loose or broken or damaged in any way. Then checking the condition of the fifth wheel skid plate, just like every other part, looking for any types of damages. It is not twisted, bent, cracked, broken, any missing parts to it. Always have to check in between the apron and the fifth wheel skid plate inside here that there is no gap in between the two, because if I see a gap, that means that something is wrong, there's something that is going or coupled together correctly. So there should not be a gap there. Right here on the side, this is the release arm. Right now I want to make sure that that release arm is locked in place, so what I have to do actually is make sure that it's pushed in all the way. Then check it like every other part, you know that it's secured with the nuts, the bolts, the pins, not twisted or bent, but always make sure that it's pushed in all the way into the lock position. Down here is the safety latch part, which are all these levers and brackets and springs. That is the safety latch. That's what's holding that release arm locked in place for me. I've got to make sure that all of that is working correctly. These humps right here, these are your platforms, including all this. That's what's holding the fifth wheel onto my frame. So I got to make sure that the platform doesn't have any loose or missing mounting bolts. They call them, they gave them a name, guys. Your mounting bolts. So tell them none of these mounting bolts should be missing, twisted, bent, cracked, broken. All the rest of the parts themselves shouldn't be cracked or broken or bent as well. Anything on the platform. Then you come over here to the back. Kind of squat inside here. And you got your locking jaws inside there. Right where I have the stick is pointing at the locking jaws. Right there. Those are the locking jaws. So just point at them, touch them, say, look, the locking jaws, I have to make sure they're securely mounted with every single nut and bolt. They should not be cracked, bent, broken. They have to be full of grease. But most important, they have to be in the closed position, wrapped around the kingpin, securing this trailer in place. And in the kingpin, well, it's that one right there, the one that you see that's coming up and down right there. So just point at that one and say that's the kingpin. It's welded to the apron. So I gotta inspect the weld that's holding it, that it's not cracked or broken. And make sure that the kingpin is straight up and down, not twisted or bent or cracked. And that I make sure again that it is being secured by the lock. Right below that on your parts list, it says no sliding fifth wheel, pins, clearance. You have to make sure you mention to them, look, this is not a sliding fifth wheel. The ones that slide, they actually have pins and grooves for you to move it back and forth and just push the pin into whatever groove you want to. This one don't work like that. Tell them that. As far as the clearance, I always have to make sure that when I hook the trailer up to the truck, I leave enough clearance in between the landing gear and the back of the truck. And also enough clearance between there and the front of the trailer and the cab of the truck. That's what they're talking about clearance. Right there, I covered every single coupling device. At this point, guys, anytime you're done with the whole section, they always ask, are you done? Yes. Are you done? Yes. Are you sure that you're done? Yes, I'm sure. I covered everything on the parts list. Guys, if you're not 100% sure, you have this one. Go back. And did I cover all the brakes? Did I cover all the suspension? Did I cover all the tires? I'll tell you, I've left whole sections out before when I'm doing these practices with you guys. So I'll just get into a hurry and I'll leave a whole section out. So make sure that you didn't leave anything out, any one of these sections, that you did talk about everything. Because if you say you're done, they move you on to something else, you can't come back to anything that you left out. Even though you might be doing something else and then you remember, man, I didn't tell them about this. Well, it's too late because that's why they're asking you right now. Are you sure that you're done? Because what they're going to do is give you more instructions and move you on to a different area of the truck. So you can't go back. If you are done, you just did everything from there to there. Class B, remember, you leave out the coupling devices. Everybody else does the coupling devices. This is where they're going to give you the next instruction that says, look, to complete this test, I want you to do an external light operations test. I want you to do an interior inspection of the vehicle. And I also want you to do an engine start. When you get those instructions, you have to get in the truck. Somebody want to get in there and I'll walk you through it? Or y'all just want me to get in there and y'all just want to watch me?
I'll get in there. I got to take a test.
Get in there. So, either as soon as you get in there or right before you get in there, say, hey, you want me to do an external light operations test? Or just tell them you want me to do the light test. Can you help me check the lights? And you ask them for help. Because if you don't ask for help, guys, you're going to have to be running back and forth looking at every single light by yourself, and that is just going to be wasting a lot of time. Whereas if you ask them for help, they're going to say, yes, I can help you. And you'll tell them, okay, well, we'll start with the front ones first, and you'll see them walk over here to the front. And they'll come and stand over here. And once they get over here, you're going to tell them which light you're going to turn on. So you don't have to turn the truck on. You just got to turn the key forward to the on position and start turning on lights so they can check them for you, see if they're working or not.
Left blinker.
Okay, left blinker. He called it out. It's working.
Right
It's good.
blinker.
All right, right one's good too.
Headlight.
Headlights. Leave them on. You got to turn it
Right
on.
light.
For the headlights, you said you got to turn it all the way. There you go.
Right
Headlights are working. Once you turn the headlights, tell them, look, all the running lights, clearance lights, everything should be on.
Okay. All the running lights
everything
should be on.
What's that?
Four-way hazards.
Okay. They're both working. All right.
And all of the running lights should be on. All the clearance lights should
Running
be on.
lights, clearance, everything is on. Okay. One last one. The high beams.
Yeah, the high beam.
Working. So when you're done with all the lights, this is where you tell them, okay, hey, can you help me check the back now? So they'll come over here to the back. If you're doing the Class B, they're going to stand right here behind your truck. And if they're doing the Class A, got a light on, guys.
Left blinker.
Okay, it's working.
Right blinker.
It's working.
Hazard.
They're working.
Brake light.
They're working. You don't have to worry about the reverse light, okay? Just so y'all know, you don't have to check the reverse light. Class B, like I said, they're gonna stand right here. Anybody that's doing a Class A, you don't make sure they don't stop right here. Make sure you tell them to go all the way to the back of the trailer. And you would check the lights over there on the back of the trailer. Once they check all the lights, and all the lights are working, well, you're done with the first part, which was the external light operations test. But you still have to do an interior inspection, and you also have to do an engine start. What they do at this point, once they check all the lights, what they do is they go and they jump and they get in the passenger seat with you. They go sit down inside the truck with you. So tell them, look, I'm going to go ahead and do the engine start first. I'm going to show you how the safest way that I know to turn this truck on, which is first by making sure that the truck is in neutral, checking that the parking brakes are on, and you could even go as far as telling them, and I would even hold the brake down before I turn the key to start the truck. So you walk them through those steps, make sure it's in neutral, parking brakes, pull on them, make sure that they're applied, hold the brake down, and now turn your truck on. Once you turn it on, guys, as you can see, it gets loud right away. So what you normally want to do is turn the AC on, close the windows, and close the doors. So they're sitting inside with you, and you're going to start with the interior inspection. The truck has to be running, so everything, all the gauges and everything is working. That's why I said turn the AC on and close the doors. Right here, you're going to start with the interior inspection. It's the bottom list. First thing it says is engine start. You just did it, right? Next, seatbelt. This is where you start checking the seatbelt. Tell them, look, I'm going to make sure it's securely mounted to the truck. Make sure the seatbelt ain't ripped or torn or cut. Also have to make sure that it adjusts to my body, where you grab it and you pull it around over here to this side. Make sure it reaches and everything is good. I would check to make sure that it locks and also unlocks, that latch is working, right? And then you could even take it off. You don't even have to leave it on if you don't want to. Once you're done with seatbelt, it says check your mirrors and check the windows and stuff, right? So, out here, look, I had this pointing stick and I was doing all this, remember, right? But inside there, we don't have a pointing stick. So make sure you start pointing with your fingers or your hand or however you want to do this. But you have to point at the parts, because if you don't, what did I tell you at the beginning? That's an instruction, right? Make sure you point, touch, call out the name, and tell me what you're checking. Leave any one of those three things out, you're not doing it right. So it's a fail. Here, you just got to do this. Look, this is the mirror on the driver's side. I got that mirror over there on the passenger side. What I'm doing first is making sure that they're adjusted to me. No, you're in the driver's seat. They got to be adjusted to you. Then I would check them just like for cracks, and they're not broken, loose, but they're clean like you told them earlier already. The windows. I got to check the driver's side. I got to check the windshield in front of me. I got to check that other window on the other side, just back window, making sure